morning and welcome to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals across multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing banking safely with digital payments at JMMB. Our guest today is Heather Alexis-Martin. She currently holds the position of branch manager at the new Arapita Avenue location at JMMB Bank Limited. She has been in the financial industry for over 30 years and has experience and skills in operations, retail, commercial banking, and business planning. So we're going to welcome Heather in today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Much for having me once again, Pauline.
Amazing. Last time you were here, we spoke about joint bank accounts. I learned so much, and I intend to extract as much information as possible today as well. Um, we also want to say congrats on celebrating your 10-year anniversary. How was that? Did you guys wine and dine and had a good time?
Yes, it was. It has been a remarkable journey to see the way the group has evolved and where it has reached today. And we have so much things planned in the future that you'll just be hearing more about the group as we expand our footprint in Trinidad and throughout the region. So we're really excited things to come.
That is such good news. And as I told you before we went live, I have been a customer of yours for many, many years, and I have been possibly, I think, an influencer where that is concerned. Definitely helped with your product, your debit Visa product. And you're talking about 10 years in GMMB being in Trinidad and Tobago. So can we talk about what that has been like? Because even going back further based on your experience, you've been in the financial sector even longer. What is I'm just gonna, give you a hard question here in terms of the biggest shift when it comes to being in the financial sector in Trinidad and Tobago that you're seeing now. What's your opinion on the biggest shift that has happened?
I think for us at GMMB, we really value client relationships. And one of the things I've seen coming from another FI is that we really reach out to our clients and really seek what is their best interest at heart. We manage our relationships very closely, whereas we really want to have that financial partnership conversation with you to ensure that you can meet your goals in the timeline that you set it out to. So we're not just target driven. It's not about making the target, but also about ensuring that we seek your well-being for you to land up in a space where it's comfortable for you. So our suite of products affords you that ability to obtain a home where we can do mortgages for you. And we also do vehicle loans for the roll on, roll off, where you can obtain a vehicle. We maximize the term that can make it efficient for you. And we really guide you along the way to see exactly where it is you project yourself to be and how you can get there. So that has been one of the biggest shifts for me, because I know coming, like I said, from the other FIs, it's a little bit more target driven and not as such as relationship building. And for us, where we are now, we really do value the building of relationships and seek opportunities that are in the best interest for yourself.
Great. And in that same vein, when it comes to what the customer needs, we want to talk about banking solutions in the digital space. And I mean, I kind of know the answer to this because, as I mentioned before, I remember I was in
Mhm.
an event once, and some of your folks actually was there kind of sharing what the offerings were for GemMB. And it was about, being able
Mhm.
to transfer online. And some of the questions that was coming from the audience, I was eager to answer because I was like, yes, you can offer the payments online, ACH transfers. But in your words, we want to hear about minimizing the need for cash transactions, because we are so, let me see my money, physically versus I want to see it in numbers. So can you talk about how the digital banking solutions can help customers? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Are you hearing me? Hi, Heather. Are you? Can you say something so we know
Yeah.
that you're hearing us? You can hear me?
Yeah. Sure. So at JMMB, yeah, I'm hearing you a little bit. We're committed to providing our. You're hearing me, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So at JMMB, we continue to commit to provide our customers with digital banking solutions that not only streamline their experience, but we also enhance the security and convenience, right? Some of the digital solutions we offer, as you would have rightly mentioned, to ensure that there's to minimize the need for cash for our customers would be our online banking platform, formerly known as money accounts, and view transaction history. Make transfers, as you mentioned, from the comfort of your home is a secure way to handle financial transactions without having the need for physical cash. Our Visa debit card with the microchip technology offers contactless payment solutions with the ability to tap the card to execute transactions. In addition, our card also interfaces with all recognized platforms that are on the market for that offers these sort of cashless payment solutions. With in addition, with our Moneyline, our online banking platform, you can pay utilities through their respective websites by visiting their website with our debit card. So that's like imagine paying your WASA, your TNTech, and your internet provider bill all from the comfort of your home at any time that could be convenient for you. No more having to come for long lines to wait in a service center, as well as we you can do person to person transfers. You can do transfers to other banks. Once it's done in the morning, it reaches the person's account by the afternoon. And even better, if it's a JMMB account, it goes one time. And I like to tell clients, set up your online banking and make arrangements to, if you're renting, to pay your rent through this medium. Not in today's environment, not only is it a safety for you, it's also safety for your landlord, who somebody may be monitoring if they come in to see them with cash, or they know they come in to pick up cash on a certain day. We encourage people to use these sort of digital platforms to minimize the risk of being robbed or followed.
Such great points. And I like what you mentioned about, not having to physically go into a location, especially with the amount of traffic that exists in Trinidad and sometimes Tobago. So
Correct.
it's so important, not just in terms of time, but our mental health, because it's so frustrating to have to sit in not just in the traffic, but then have to wait in line. So when it comes to having those transactions, how easy is it for the customer to be able to take the right steps to set that up?
Right. So we continuously educate our customers about the benefits of the digital and online platforms, as well as we have a comprehensive strategy to educate and empower our customers to make the most of the convenience of their time, as mentioned. We have on our website, we have user-friendly tutorials and guides, that YouTube videos that you can interact with and go through and see exactly the different steps and the different types of transactions you may want to engage in. And you can go to it as many times until you get comfortable with it before you actually go on to our website. And even that, you can come into the branch assistance to you as you set up your new digital banking platform. And we are here to offer the step-by-step guidance, as well as we have our call-in center in the event it's after hours and you need to troubleshoot or something that is not clear. We will take you through that process. In addition, our social media presence engages um, quite often with videos and snippets of reminding clients of what they can do and the advantages of our digital banking. And it also allows the clients to interface with us by asking questions and reach out and seek assistance through our social media channels. We think by taking these steps, we ensure that our clients remain well informed and comfortable to the digital banking by giving them these avenues where they can always reach out to us to troubleshoot in the event they have any other questions.
Thanks for that, Heather. And we spend so much time online, mostly on social media. Guys, you know who you are. But when it comes to having that confidence to manage one's finances online, it could be a bit of a hurdle, especially when it comes to not being certain about security. So, do you have any insight for folks who are watching this and I'm like, not too sure about that in terms of security?
Yeah. So for security, we would always advise clients to make sure that you have a strong password. No birthday, no name, no husband name, no child name, no date of birth, and always include a mix of upper and lowercase. Once you have a strong password, it will ensure and it's changed often, especially if you want to visit our money line or online frequently. You give yourself every 3 months, 6 months, you can change your password. Um, that's always something that we try to advise our clients. Make sure your device is secure. Only access our online banking from the trusted website. And make sure that your operating system is always up to date and you have your software for viruses intact. We advise clients, of course, not to use the public Wi-Fi when conducting online banking transactions, as these could be less secure, and to regularly monitor your account. So the online banking allows you that availability that you can go in and view your transaction, so you can keep track of what it is you have done. And just to protect any personal information, don't share your account details or personal information with anyone, even if they claim to be from the bank, because legitimate banks will not ask for information via email or phone. Always make sure your device have a secure locking device, that it will be protected, even if it's a strong password and biometric locks. And regularly update your phone with any updates for the latest antiviruses that they may have there. We also advise clients to educate themselves so that they could stay informed of any online scams or fraud activities, that they may be aware if they see a link pop up that may look as if somebody is phishing them, and always, always log out when you are finished using. That will ensure that you are safe, as well as we have a support team that frequently, daily monitors the activity of your card. So if it is, we know that we see something that is not an irregular transaction cycle of the activity of your account, there are alerts that we will shut down the card if we suspect that any fraud or any sort of unnatural behavior on the card is being noticed.
All right, and it's so interesting. You spoke about the passwords, and I've had conversations with people who put their birthdays, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Like there comes a point in time where we as consumers have to take responsibility, and this is something that's important. So I want to talk about the idea of folks sharing passwords as well, because on our last session when you were here, we spoke about joint accounts and that sort of legality of
Right.
sharing one's finances and sharing that information. But I think there's some similarity between that and online banking. But we're going to go on a quick break so you can have some time to think about your
Yeah.
response, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Straight Off the Bat, a show that helps you understand financial literacy and education. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're doing so from Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. Today, we're discussing banking safely with digital payments at JMMB. So we have Heather Alexis-Martin with us today. She's an OG. She's been here before. She's spoken about joint account banking. We've learned so much from her. And just before the break, I asked about how we can be a little bit better when it comes to the digital security that's required around digital banking because Heather spoke earlier about having stronger passwords. Guys, don't put your husband's name or your wife's name. Like, please don't. But there's also the idea of sharing information. That's not necessarily the best idea. So if Heather can just shed some light on, this idea of trust, what does that look like? Because I feel like it's similar to like when you give us the debit card and like, don't share your PIN. But some of us do, not me obviously, but some of us do. So we'll talk about why is it important to maybe not share it and what's the best way you can to make sure to secure your finances.
Yeah. So many a times we have customers will come in and say, I'm not getting through with the card. And when you check, it's that they're not there. It's either somebody gave them the card to make a deposit and stuff. And again, we have to reach out and remind clients the card, whatever transaction, once you give your PIN to someone, we are not liable for any transaction that happens once we are aware that you have done that, right? So really and truly, password security is tantamount in the digital banking online platform in today's environment. And you have to find a way, even if you write your password down backwards or with some sort of code that you of yourself would only know, but we strongly, it is not advisable. Or you come in and you do the correct thing and you make the account joint. If you want the other person to have access to your information, or if for some reason you cannot conduct the transactions again, where you can come out and go to the ATM, come in and let's regularize it. So going forward, we can also share the information when that person, if anything is to go wrong. But we would not recognize any transaction that you may query if you said you gave it to John to go in and now you're querying where the money has gone because you have yourself just given away all your money to this person who you would have given out your PIN to.
So this type of access is also applicable to online banking with the digital banking and the passwords.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's for you alone, and it's for no one else to have that information. Like I said, if you need to have the account joined to have someone on the account with you, you come into us and we will do that and then we can also, if you have a joint account, access 2 cards on the account. So we would know exactly who did what transaction on the account. So that is something that we can regularize for you.
So I want to shift the conversation a little bit to because we were talking about customers in terms of retail, but when it comes to business customers, you may have people who may need access to the online banking, not necessarily the funds, but maybe to review it or maybe to pay bills. Is there an option for businesses to have tiers in terms of access to their accounts online?
Yes, definitely. So our money line for business, it goes in line with whatever your signing authority on the account is. So for example, you can have, if you have 2 people to sign, but you can also give viewing rights. So you find in most companies, they would have the directors, what we call one will be an inputter and one will be an authorizer. So if 2 people have to sign, then they will be deemed or given the role as authorizers. So any transaction that the inputter does has to be sanctioned or signed off by the both of them. So the accountant perhaps may have viewing rights to be able to initiate transactions if it's a payroll, if it's a transfer, if it's to pay bills, but the signing authority are the ones that will be what we term the authorizers of the transaction, and they will have to end the transaction by doing that final stage. So for businesses, it is a safe environment as well, because it's not that your accountant or anybody, whoever you assign, can push through a transaction straight to the end. It must have those signing people will be the only ones will have a different level where they can authorize and complete the transaction.
So, what is your advice? Because we also have a lot of businesses shifting over, because using checks, for instance, because we did mention that um, in the previous. We're gonna put that in the link if we haven't already comments when we spoke about
Mhm.
digital banking and joint accounts. But when it comes to uh, that shift from checking to digital, what are some of the advantages business owners can look forward to when they shift over into the digital payment space?
Oh, well, for one, the recipients get their money in real time. And for them, for the business owners, they don't have to give their workers time off to go this bank time, because we know bank time now used to be 2 hours or hour. That is no longer like that. Time you hit the traffic and enter the bank, you're 2 hours up. So from a business perspective, to me, if I have to for my payroll, it will be easier for me. We have bulk uploads where once it's over a certain amount, we manage you and channel you through that, where you can pay your workers, as well as if you have every monthly suppliers that you have to pay. It's an ease of doing business with them, as well as so your suppliers now don't have to wait until a check clears to give you goods if that is the case, and that may keep back your workflow or your production process. So from a business owner perspective, it is the correct way to go and the more time friendly, convenient way to go, as it eliminates all those issues that you would have had in the past.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that because you know we have to take time off to renew our driver's license, and that's once in a while. But having to do that every time you get your salary, it becomes very time consuming. So being able to shift your business over to that space eliminates that. And when it comes to the security aspect, being able to know that that amount of cash isn't physically there. Like, talk about that aspect of it because I think from a societal perspective, cash is so we've grown so accustomed to it. We forget there's these dangers that are aligned to it. So, can you speak a little bit more about the security there?
So not having so not having to inter so not having to interface or move not having to interface or move.
We can hear you, Heather. You can go ahead.
I'm So I'm just gonna gather what because you were talking a little bit broken up in terms of for the business perspective and having not to interface with using so much cash. I mean, it is a concern and a way of mitigating the risk of being followed or movements monitored. If in the days back in the days when we had to make payrolls or have customers coming in, you'd have these drove of clients coming into the bank to receive cash or cash out their checks. So it eliminates that, as well as they know their cash is safe, um, that it's not physically moving for anyone to monitor their movements if they have to move cash to a job site to pay workers, etc. So having the digital banking platform and encouraging your workers to have accounts at JMMB, of course, will eliminate that process and have that ease of flow of transactions.
Yeah, we heard you clearly. That was exactly what we needed in terms of the response. We're having a little bit
Okay.
of technical difficulties with the internet, but we're definitely hearing you good. So,
Okay.
speaking about in this cash environment that we're so accustomed to, a lot of people, including my mom, is like, oh, this technology thing. Do you have, because you mentioned earlier about support for money line to learn how to use it. But what about folks who are just like, this internet thing, I can't. What advice do you have for those types of people who just, are so overwhelmed by everything?
Well, we if you come in to us, so again, our friendly client support officers are available at all four locations, and they can come in and have the support and guidance required at any time. If it's 10 times, we have clients that we reset, we unlock every day, and we just guide them through the process. We knew it's a new technology, and because of the multifaceted layers of security we have, sometimes if you don't use it often, and those people will fall in that category because they may use it once a month to pay bills or twice. And the system does allow you and prompt you to change your password frequently. So there's also they can come in and well, they have free phone support, like I said, for our client care center, our contact center that is available. And we will reach out to you, and anytime that they feel to get a refresher reminder, our YouTube videos on our website are there, and it's very, very user friendly. You can just, and it takes your time, and you could look over it repeatedly until you feel that level of confidence to move forward. But anytime they have a challenge, we are here in person to guide you through that process. So I totally understand for that age category.
And you know what's interesting? Going back to my mom, a lot of the time she'll ask me things about Facebook, but she goes to YouTube to learn how to sew. So it is possible, once you put your mind to something, it's never too late, guys. I'm here to tell you, I'm learning Spanish, and it's hard, but it's not impossible. uh, so when it comes to this change that we're talking about in the digital space, what would you say out of your, many, many years of experience and being in JMMB for JMMB celebrating a decade in Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of what you've seen in Trinidad and Tobago, what is sort of the biggest challenge that you have gotten from your customers in terms of feedback, and how were they able to get, like, successfully
Uh,
say, okay, I can do this? Can you hear me? Are you hearing us, Heather?
I did not hear the last part. I'm hearing the last
So,
part. The last part, I did not hear what you were saying in terms of
so
Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah, so there you would have experienced a lot of customers who would
Hello?
have
Yes.
challenges.
Sorry.
That's okay. Challenges with the shift to digital. What's the biggest challenge and how did
Um,
they overcome it? Did
right.
you,
So
yeah?
the biggest challenge, like I said, yeah, the biggest challenge is just migrating them to these channels, and especially coming out of the pandemic where we saw the need for having availability or accessibility to our monies without having to come in and interface with individuals because of COVID. You really, we really have to just keep sensitizing and keep making them aware that these options are available and it's a safe space for them to access their money, because in today's environment we never know what could happen in the next couple of months, right?
Definitely. I think that the lockdown forced us to learn quicker, So it is very interesting how, being able
Yes.
to have access to your money while not leaving your house forces a lot to shift our mentality. So we're gonna go on a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about the sensitivity of financial information in the digital world and why you need to conduct your transactions in a specific way. Because we learned earlier, don't go on public Wi-Fi when accessing your funds. But we want a few more tips in terms of security and being able to secure our finances online. So we'll be right back. And welcome back to Straight Off the Bat. Today we're discussing banking safely with digital payments at JMMB. And if you're joining us from LinkedIn, don't forget to subscribe to our page to continue seeing content that'll help you manage your money. So this show helps you with financial literacy and education. And in this day and age, that requires some kind of digital access. And that means shifting away from cash, which I know sounds ridiculous to some people, but it's necessary right now. So let's bring Heather in from JMMB to continue the discussion around banking safely with digital payments. Heather, how are you doing
Hi,
today?
good.
Amazing. So am I coming in clear? We're good to go?
You are. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, I mean, for those who may have missed earlier, we did discuss, not sharing passwords, not creating passwords that are obvious, like your birthday and your partner's name. But when it comes to sensitive financial information, how can we trust that it is something that we can, enter in a world where we see all these headlines about someone's tapping into our computer or someone's listening to what we have to say. So let's try to quell any fears out there when it comes to digital banking and discuss how we can trust our sensitive financial information online.
Right. So at JMMB, our support team monitors the activity on your card. And remember, this is a Visa debit card that is also, so it's also connected to Visa International, who monitors the cards as well. So besides locally, you have internationally, the cards are being monitored. So any sort of activity that is outside the norm of your activity, for example, if they see a transaction, let's say 3 o'clock in the morning, or from a site that is something that is not visited, the card will be shut down. Um, your information is safe, as we encourage people to regularly change your passwords to ensure that they are not um, made sensitive or be a target of any hoax or phishing schemes. Again, on our website, we do have a list of security tips you can engage in that I would have mentioned earlier, as you mentioned with the password, the hoax and the email or phishing, where people may get a link and we just say, you don't enter into those links. Our website, we don't send you a link to enter into your website to get money line. So also making sure your computer has a up-to-date antivirus to make sure you're not subject to any sort of virus that you may be prone to. And when you're using your security features on our website, we do have the different levels where we would ask the security questions. And even when to complete a transaction, there's another layer of security where you have to put in a PIN. So even if for some reason someone may have your password, there's also an additional level where to complete transaction as an individual, you have to enter a 4-digit PIN, which again is unique to yourself. So besides the password, you have your username, you have your password, and there's a PIN. So those are 3 levels of protecting and ensuring that your information is safe when you're using our online platforms. What I would advise clients to do as well, if you are or should be, when you get your card, at the back of our card, there are contact numbers that you can reach out to if your card is lost or stolen. And yes, the argument, you will say, well, if the card lost, I don't have the number. Write it down, photocopy the back. But for even all your information, you should have copies of your driver's permit, ID, passport, those sort of things in a secure folder on your phone with a biometrics locks or something, that in the event of anything, you can reach out to us because you will see the number that you can reach out to.
Yes, and so as someone who has traveled while using the debit card from JMMB, I have had some calls asking me if this was my transaction or emails and so forth. So can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I imagine there's someone in the back end, I say someone, technology, you mentioned Visa as well, because there's certain amount of activities that we do that are regular. You pay your phone bill, you may pay your rent, but some things may come out of nowhere. So can we talk a little bit about how that looks like when you're shopping, with your card online or using funds online? Is it that JMMB has, or your partners like Visa, where you have that extra layer of, hey, is this you that did this transaction?
Correct. And one of the things I should have mentioned earlier, and even for yourself, Paul, as you're out of the country, and once you inform us of your location, we would know, okay, so once we see transactions coming in from that location, we would reach out to you just to confirm, but we would at least be aware that you are out of the country and your card is out of the country and being used. Unfortunately, if you don't inform us and the card is being used outside of the country, it will create an automatically fraud alert, right? So I'm not too much at liberty to say exactly what gives the fraud alert, but trust me, they are aware from our analytics of seeing your profile and where you shop. It would create alert and they will shut down the card. So at the different layers of security. So I do hope you told us you were out of the country.
Yes, yes, that is definitely something I've learned
Yes, yes,
over time because the worst thing is you add a point of sale and they're like, well, you have no money, and I'm like, what?
yes, yes, because they
So
would have
yes,
monitored seen activity that was not in line with what they were accustomed seeing. Yes,
yeah, and I definitely agree. There's some things we don't need to know, so you don't need to share that. But ultimately, as a consumer, knowing what we have to do in terms of having strong passwords, informing the bank that we're traveling, and just a general shift of maybe behavior that will like show up on our transactions online. I think that is going back to communication with the bank and making sure that the information is shared with the folks that we trust, which are the bank.
and
And
just
mhm,
sorry, just to add to
that's okay.
that point, in the event that your card does get compromised, we do have a robust support system where you come in and you fill out a form, or we can send it to you and it's submitted, and your claim is recognized. We have a 90-day window of which we will settle your claim. Um, as of recent, I would have known where somebody card was stolen and the transactions that came up, we did not settle it, and the person would have been able to get back their money right away because we were aware. Well, of course, if it's stolen, you go in, you get a police report, and we submit it, and we make sure we settle. So the ease of not having those funds, um, and the reason that would have happened is because of the tap feature, but we would shut that down as soon as you notify us, and which they did.
That is so good to hear because that is definitely a fear for all of us.
Yes.
And shifting back to this conversation around, I feel like we can't have digital payments and digital banking without speaking about paperless statements. Because back in the day, I think I still have a storage full of statements that I think one day that I will need, but it's like 5 years ago. But in this space that we're living in, we have the opportunity to access our information online. So, can you shift over to maybe giving us some benefits of being able to access our statements online?
Right. So these statements you can, like you mentioned, you can actually see the date or the specific transaction that you may want to recall. Um, it's readily available to you. You don't have to wait in the mail for it to come, um, as well as we are being ensuring that our corporate social responsibility with regards to the environment is being met. So everyone has gone paperless and it works, as well as we also have a backup at the branch as well and the bank that you can access it. Even if you were to come in and you wanted to get, so we still have the people who still want to see the paper, right? So they can visit the branch and have a printout and also review their transactions to confirm if it is this was done by them or not. So you do have that option.
Yeah, I was one of those persons who I just felt I needed to see it, but now it's actually quite beneficial being able to reference transactions easily when I can use an Excel spreadsheet to find something that may have, hundreds of transactions. And in the same breath, can we talk about being able to access investments linked to your bank account? Is that
Right.
something that you can access online as well?
Sorry, could you just repeat what you said?
Investments, is that something that you can link back to your online banking as well?
You can view your investment account online. Correct. Yes. Something that you can do. Mhm.
So when it comes to, because you may have this idea of, oh, well, I've invested this amount, and it's like your stock market, you just want to see it clicking and ticking. How has that shifted and changed in terms of the digital space?
So at JMMB, we our the what the investments that you can view online is through our interactive brokers, where the investments are done on the U.S. stock market, where you can view and monitor your investments to see it, yes, go up, down, and monitor the movement. So that is a interactive brokers portal that is set up through our investments subsidiary, and that's how you can access and see your investments and monitor and get tips on how it is they are doing, etc.
Great news because for some of us it's being able to see it, it's a great sort of reminder. It's like, okay, cool, I've put this money in. I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, because there are a lot of people who want to see physically their money versus seeing it on a screen. It is different, but it's just as rewarding. What say you,
But
Heather?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then you can also be aware of what is happening in the environment in the region or international to see how it will impact your investment. And then you can make a sound decision if it is you want to sell, if it is you want to buy, because our platform allows you that where you can do it on your own. You don't need us to interface. So it's a great benefit.
So, we've spoken about the personal aspect in terms of shifting over to digital banking. We also kind of touched on checks as a small business. But in terms of having that environment for your business, making sure that the security aspect is there, what advice you have for maybe a small business owner who, time is a rare thing for a small business owner. Why it's super important, especially if it's a new business and they're having to balance a lot of things, why it's important for them to have the digital banking aspect for their business.
Well, it's important for them to be aware of what their cash flow looks like in order to make sure that they could pay whatever bills or receivables they have due. So, without them wasting time or having to come into the bank to monitor their account, having the online and the digital access allows them to ensure that, they can see, even if they have to pay this bill, the timing of when they collect, as well as if they put a check in their account, when it will clear and when they'll have the availability of funds. So it helps them manage their cash flow a little easier from that aspect, because you find in the past they're not sure if the check clear, how long it will take, but you can actually see what funds are available to you, what is on hold. You can also, even if you know you have a certain transaction to pay every month on a certain date, set up an ACH or a standing order to have those funds remitted automatically without you having to go in and put in the information again. So if you have repeat transactions, it's something you can set up on our online portal.
So is this something that when you open a business account for the first time at JMMB, you can just set up your online banking one time?
Yes, it's part of the process. We ensure that all customers are migrated to our digital platforms, and encourage you to use it from the start. So once you come into us, and it's free of charge, you come into us, that is part of the account opening process. You open the account, you get your online, you have that is the only time we will send you an email with a link to go in to change your password, and that is a 24-hour window. And that is another layer of security. So in the event, if you miss that 24-hour window, you do have to reach out to us again to have it reset.
So for small businesses out there, is there anything additional that you need to open that online account, that online banking account?
No, these same documents that you would have brought in to open the account, that is what is used for all the documents are used, the same documents are used to migrate you to our online banking platform. So it will be your account, account registration, if you're providing with your cash flow projections, if you're a new business, or if you have financials and you're an old business. Well, you mentioned it's a sole trader or individual, so accessing or authorizing transactions will be that person. Of course, if it's a limited liability company, it will be a little more technical in terms of what I would have mentioned earlier with the inputters and the authorizers, because we would need to get separate information for the people who are inputters. But you always have to keep the bank abreast and aware of what is happening, because I know people leave jobs, and you may have an accountant that may leave on Monday and you don't inform the bank by Friday, just to remember that this person, while they cannot process a transaction, they will still have access to view your information. And if they're not working with you, this will now be your information being viewed by someone who's not within your organization.
Yes, that is something that a lot of us small businesses owners are guilty of, because there's so much things happening. You forget to take someone off of a private access to information. So I think that's something that we need to add to our to-do list. Another thing that we need to add, but it's definitely super, super important. So we're gonna go on a quick break, but when we come back, we're just gonna close it off with some feedback from Heather in terms of practical advice that we all need when it comes to insurance safety, online banking activities, and also why we have no choice but to go online at this point in time. So we'll be right back. And welcome back to Straight Off the Bat, a show that helps you understand financial literacy and education. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're doing so from YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our page to continue seeing content to help you manage your money. Today, we are discussing banking safely with digital payments at JMMB, and we have Heather joining us today. In the financial world, it is linked to the digital world, and it's not going anywhere. The internet's here, guys. It's not going anywhere. So today we're discussing how to manage our finances in that digital space. And if you had missed anything that we discussed earlier, not to worry. When we end this live show, it will be on the replay on all our social media platforms. So Heather is joining us from the Arapita Avenue branch at JMMB. Heather,
Correct. Yes.
okay, spanking new buildings, still
Spanking
smells
new.
fresh, like a
Exactly.
brand new car smell.
Correct.
And after 10 years of being in Trinidad and Tobago, we're here to learn more about JMMB services
Mhm.
and the idea of the discussion around digital banking. So I know you may have mentioned this before, Heather, but we just want to just go like a quick recap on the benefits for online digital online banking for customers,
Yeah.
for retail customers.
So, as you mentioned just now previously, Paula, digital banking is here to stay. This is the new realm. This is where the financial industry is going. And who knows, next 10 years, this may be something new. I remember when the ATM machines came out, everybody passed it straight, nobody wanted to use it. But in today's environment, time is of the essence. We have been faced with traffic congestion and just the whole daily life routine. Digital banking is the solution in order to ensure that all your bills, all your daily needs are met. You no need to come into the bank to waste any time standing up. You can pay all your utilities online. You can even pay your landlord online. So there's no risk, there's no security risk of you having to take out cash for your landlord to pass, where people might be marking you. We know what has happened recently. Um, you don't want anybody knowing your movements or monitoring your movements, that you come into the bank every month to take out this amount and you know you're going home to pay your rent. This is the new way. All utilities have provided portals where you can pay your bills, your utilities online, and our Visa International debit card with chip technology allows that ease of transaction. So we do encourage and invite everyone to come into us. If you have not already, open an account today and you can see the benefits. Our Even if you have to transfer to somebody in another bank, once it's done in the morning, you get it in the afternoon. We have a robust support unit that monitors the activities of your card. And if you have any concerns or queries, our social media pages allows you to interface with us, as well as we have our contact center for our clients to come in or to reach out to us to find out if there's anything they may have of concern. So we do have all the different channels to make the migration of this process easier for you. That will be beneficial to you in terms of time and also ensuring that you could track your payments online.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And you mentioned the ATM, and I recall reading a book that mentioned how everybody was like, ATMs are gonna leave just now. This is just, a phase. Do you see any similarities to how people are approaching digital banking as it was with the ATM, because it's that same story of, oh well, this change is happening and I'm waiting for it to pass.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, even at JMMB, while we embrace the digital transformation and we understand that it is required, we still maintain speaking and having that personal touch with our clients, which is the ethos of JMMB, which you know is love, trust, and integrity, and having the client's best interest at heart. We try to have the both work parallel. So you're not going to come into the bank and be channeled or say, or see an ATM. And most of us travel. And right now, if you go into a bank abroad, you're going to be met with 5 ATMs machine to do your transaction. So we are still in a space where we are here to hold your hand and guide you through that migration. And because it's here to stay, and we just have to embrace it.
I think that is great advice for all of us in our lives, regardless if it's financial or not, in terms of uh, looking at change and seeing how we could learn from it. So, with we have like about 2 more minutes. I want to ask you if you have any advice for the small business owners who may feel a bit overwhelmed by this learning curve as well. Because if you are building a business, you just want to focus on sales and making your money. But how important is it to have these things in place so your business can succeed? Did you hear me there, Heather?
Yeah. So understand, okay, so you wanted to know these small business owners and how to manage their money. So what I would say is embrace the technology, manage your funds through your account. It is a good way to see what you're doing, how you're spending your money, to track and see what expenses you are probably overspending, or if even if the business is making money. So having the online banking for small businesses is beneficial to, like I said, manage your cash flow and doing that ease of business. And in today's environment, it also is a safe space because you don't want to have to be taking out money, or even if our online banking you need a check, which I should have mentioned, you can even issue checks from the online banking and just pass in the bank and pick it up. So that will save time. That is for personal and business. You can also issue manager's check if you want to make a check. If I need to make a check to you, Paula, and you're in South, I can go to my online banking, sing it, let it print in South, and you go into the South branch, our South Park branch, and you can pick it up. So there's no need for you to meet me in Port of Spain to pick it up. So it's really, really interactive and makes the ease of doing business very convenient.
Well, thank you so much for that, Heather. It has been quite something that we all need to learn about. It's educational in terms of what we have to do in the financial world as well as the digital space. So thanks again, Heather, for joining us today and sharing insight into banking safely with digital payments at JMMB. Make sure to sign up and be notified for our next live show via the link in the comments. It's either there or there, depending on where you're watching this. And as always, be sure to like and follow our page on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube so you don't miss a single live show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.